Living a healthy, balanced life is no small feat, especially when you're a mom. With meals to cook, laundry to load, work to do, and humans to raise, it can be easy to feel like we're in an on-again, off-again relationship with healthy living. But it doesn't have to feel this way. I believe living a healthy life has become way too complicated. What we need isn't a new plan or program telling us what to eat or how to live. We need simple, uncomplicated routines and information that's going to help us live our best, most beautiful life without rules and restrictions. Join me, Kristin Dovbniak, holistic health coach, certified intuitive eating counselor, and mama of two, for weekly conversations on what it means to live a healthy, balanced life, uncomplicate eating, and simplify in every area of mom life. Hey friends, welcome back to the Healthy Balanced Mama podcast. I am so excited to share with you this week's guest Q&A episode with my friend Leah. We are talking about all things feeding healthy families. We give you dozens of ideas on healthy, easy dinners, lunches, breakfasts, tips on picky kids, feeding kids with different preferences. It is a jam-packed episode with a ton of ideas, and I know you're going to love our conversation as much as we had fun recording it. Just a quick disclaimer before we jump into the episode. There are some kid sounds towards the end. You can still hear us both very clearly, but we're both busy mamas and all of our kiddos came home or woke up from naps at the end of the episode, so you might hear some kid sounds. Just to let you know ahead of time, it is probably easier to listen via headphones. Otherwise, you should be able to hear us well enough, and I know that the content is going to be super helpful for you. So without further ado, here is my Q&A on feeding healthy families with Leah. Hey friends, welcome back to the Healthy Balanced Mama podcast. I am so excited for another guest Q&A today. Our sweet Danielle is on maternity leave right now with her new baby girl. I can officially say that because she had her baby girl very recently. So I have on my in real life friend, Leah Gallagher, with me today, and we are going to talk all about feeding a healthy family. This is a topic that I get asked about often, and where I talk a lot about meal planning and meal prep and cooking and all that. We haven't really sat down and had a conversation about, or here on the podcast, I haven't sat down and had a conversation about kind of how we feed our family. And so I thought it'd be fun because I know that Leah also loves to feed her family and feed her family healthy food. She's just as passionate about cooking as I am. She shares some incredible recipes over on her Instagram. I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation. And for those of you, I don't think I shared how we know each other, but we met each other, what was it, like was it 3 years ago now? It was both of our girls were babies.
4, because
4 years
will
ago.
Be 5 in May. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know, because they're about 6 months apart. Right. Yeah. Because Ren is October. Yeah. They're about 6 months apart. And so we met through a MOPS group at both of our former churches when Leah has since moved away. And actually I have too. So we met through a MOPS group, which is Mothers of Preschoolers. If those of you don't know what MOPS stands for, and we've stayed connected over on social media. And I'm just so excited to have you on, Leah. So if you want to introduce yourself and who you are and what you are excited about.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. I'm so excited to be here. So, hi, everyone. My name is Leah. I am a wife and mama to 3 little girls, 4, 2, and 10 months old. I was a registered nurse before I decided to stay home with my girls, and am loving it since then. I'm a beauty counter consultant on the side, and I have always enjoyed cooking and good quality food for as long as I can remember. I was fortunate to grow up in a household where my mom did all the cooking, so I learned a lot from her. And one of my passions is truly just sharing with people that eating healthy can be tasty and good for you, and it doesn't have to be super complicated.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm 100% with you on all of that. And I love that I have tasted your food in person, and you are a fantastic cook. So
well, thanks. You too.
So this is fun. It's rare, other than, I think I've recorded with I've recorded with my sister and I've recorded with my best guy friend, but it's rare that I have conversations with people I actually know in real life. So it's really fun that we have sat together. We've enjoyed many meals together, and we can kind of talk about how we make all this happen with our families. You have one extra kid than I do. And you've got little ones too. So I think you're going to have a really good perspective on feeding the littler ones. And I mean, I don't really have anything to say about feeding my 8-year-old. She's like the easiest ever. It's my 4-year-old.
The 4-year-old.
That's going to be the answer to most of these questions. So we asked questions, just like every other Q&A episode from our community. And we asked all of you what questions you had on feeding a healthy family. And so some of these recipes, wow, I'm already jumping in. Some of these questions are kind of related, but I am going to kind of just ask the questions and we can share how we feed our families and kind of what works for us. So this is going to be super casual, but hopefully all of you will get some good ideas and inspiration from our own experiences feeding our families. Are you ready to jump in?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first question, and these aren't in order of how I got the questions. I kind of moved these around so they all kind of make sense. But the first question is, how do you feed different ages together? So I'm assuming kids that are different ages. I kind of want to refer to you for this one because you have one extra kid than I do. I only have 2, but you have 3 kids at 3 different ages. So how do you manage feeding different ages all together as a family?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a great question. First of all, I do a lot of the baby-led weaning approach to eating. So my younger kids, when they're little and they start eating solid foods, a lot of times I take the meal that us adults and the older kids are eating, and I just kind of deconstruct it for them. So for example, like I love bowls of any sort, right? Like Greek bowls or pulled pork bowls or whatever. So if I did a pulled pork bowl, all I do for my kids sometimes is I deconstruct it. So I like all my toppings together on one bowl. And sometimes kids are weird about that, like they like things separate. So for my older toddlers, like the 4 and 2-year-olds, I'll just put some things on the side, like the pulled pork or the rice or the slaw, and then the cheese, and I don't put it all together. And then for my baby, what I do is I just cut up little pieces of it and offer it all scattered on her plate and let her kind of feed herself. And what she eats, and what she doesn't, I don't stress about it. Yeah, I think I just keep offering it. It's kind of the rule of thumb.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is so funny because I sent you all these questions beforehand. So you have all the questions rounded up and I made some notes in the document, but I have no idea what your answers are going to be. And my answer is like basically exactly the same as
I love it.
So we've done the same thing. We very much did with Ren, at least with my 4-year-old. We've done more of a baby, or we did, now she's 4, but we did more of a baby-led weaning approach as well. So when she was really young, we did something very similar. We would deconstruct the meal. I've always been a big fan of everyone eats the same meal. I don't believe in being a short order cook. I've been a short order cook and it's stressful. And I don't think parents need to be short order cooks.
Absolutely. So, I 100% agree.
So yeah, we did the same thing. We just kind of deconstruct it. We also love bowls. And so it'll be, just kind of putting it out there for them. I love it too, now that they're a little bit older and they both have their own food preferences. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more after too, but I like to kind of put everything out and allow them to kind of pick and choose what they want to put on their plate. And I think when they have the choice to be able to choose what they want, oftentimes they will choose more things than, if I were to put it all in one bowl together, because I agree, kids can be kind of weird about that. And a lot of them don't like things mixed all together. And so we'll kind of let them pick and choose and put things together in the case of a bowl, something like that. And then, when they were young, we would just sort of deconstruct it. And sometimes we would do things a little bit different for our little one. And like I said, we did this more with Ren. With Sage, we did kind of a mix of purees and baby-led weaning. I was more of a nervous first-time mom, and I was like afraid she was going to choke on everything. Ren, we just kind of started handing her. She was sitting, actually, I want to say this was after a MOPS meeting. I remember she was 9 months old and she was sitting on the counter in the kitchen of the church that we did MOPS at. And she was eating goldfish. And somebody like made it wasn't a rude comment or anything, but somebody made a comment of her sitting on like just eating goldfish and like, oh, my kids would have never eaten goldfish. And at 9 months or at that age. And I was like, I don't think I would have. I definitely would not have fed this to Sage at that age. And it was just sort of, like she needed to be kept occupied and she would just put them in her mouth and let them dissolve. She didn't really have very many teeth to chew them up. And I'm like, maybe don't take my advice for safety for children when it comes to giving a 9-month-old goldfish. Probably not the safest choice. Let's be real. But it's kind of funny. We did way more of a baby-led weaning approach with her. And we would do little things like, if we were to eat something with sweet potatoes, we would do like sweet potato fries for her and she would have like homemade sweet potato fries. So every so often we would do things like that for her, especially in the very beginning. So she could kind of hold on to it and eat it that way. But for the most part, we also did that. And we still do that to this day. We kind of all eat the same meal, but for the most part, they kind of get to choose what they want.
Totally. And I will say, like, I do think even with all my girls, I did do kind of a mix of baby-led weaning and purees until they show that chewing a little bit, Yeah. So only for like the very beginning. Yeah. And then they tend to catch on a little quickly with the tongue thrust and everything. And then I'm like, all right, whatever's on our plate, you're just getting it. Cause it's way easier that way. And then I also think it helps them have a really diverse palate.
Yes.
Like lots of different types of foods.
Yeah, I agree. I know my mom's made that comment a couple of times that she's like, your kids eat so many different flavors and foods that like you guys never would have eaten. And I'm like, I think it's just because we've given them different types, different foods, different flavors, lots of different cuisines. I love, you mentioned Greek bowls or pulled pork bowls. I love barbecue. I love Mediterranean food. I love Middle Eastern food. I love Indian food. I love all different types of Asian food. And we've given them all different flavors from when they were really young. And whether or not they like it, they have tried different foods. And I think that does, even if they're not as into them right now, which we'll talk about, they are still, getting the exposure to those, to those different flavors and different textures and things like that. And you mentioned too that, if they don't want to eat it, they don't eat it, you keep offering it anyway. And we do that too. And I think that that's really important that, we continue to offer the foods, even if they're younger and they might not go for it. As they get older, they might start enjoying that. I guess that's more of a picky food question or answer. I'm kind of going into the next question. So why don't we go into the next question? The next question was a really good one as well. And it was tips on getting nutrition in kids when they don't like most foods. So are any of your girls, like, I don't like using the P word, but more selective than your other girls?
I like to say they all go through quote picky phases, and I feel like that kind of usually peaks around 3, somewhere around there. They all start off as babies. My kids eat everything and anything I put on their plate. And then at some magical toddler age, all of a sudden they decide, I don't like this that much, or I don't want to eat that. And so, yeah, the older two have all gone through that. And some of my 2-year-olds probably, sometimes I feel like my 4-year-old's more in that stage than my 2-year-old, but
every kid's a little bit different.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So then what are some of like your strategies and I should just mention too, that my kiddos are very similar. They've kind of gone through pickier phases, and my older daughter, like I mentioned at the beginning, she eats pretty much everything, which I'm very grateful for. There are very few things she doesn't like, and she's like very adamant about those things she doesn't like, and everything else she will at least try. But my 4-year-old is still much more selective, not as picky as she used to be, but much more selective than my 8-year-old. Yeah. So what are some of your strategies or tips on getting nutrition into kids when they don't like most foods?
First of all, we kind of talked about offering multiple times. And I think one of the things I like to do is I usually have my kids try it at least once. If they don't like it, it's okay. Because we all have foods we don't like, right? So I don't know why I would expect my kids to like everything. And then I think another great thing to do is offer it in different ways. So if you're offering, like, for example, say they don't like carrots or I don't know, something like that, right? You can offer it in a different format. So instead of just offering it raw, you could offer it with a dip, like a ranch or a hummus or something like that, or offer it roasted or offer it cooked in a different dish, right? I think that the kids are very selective sometimes, and just sometimes textures really bother them. If it's cooked, like they might like the raw carrot versus the cooked carrot, or they might not like if it's mushy. So I think finding a different way to offer the same food is really helpful. And then also offering it more than once, because your kid says once that they don't like a food doesn't necessarily mean they don't like the food. I think you have to, keep trying a few more times.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it's funny because I think the same thing is true for us as adults, right? There are certain foods I know that I prefer. I prefer carrots cooked more than carrots raw, but I like carrots raw shredded in a salad. And so it's just, I think kids are the same way. So I love that piece of advice because it is sometimes just about offering things in a little bit of a different way, a little bit of a different format, maybe different spices to see, if they will enjoy those foods in different ways. I know that my kids are both huge fans of roasted vegetables. So they will eat an entire tray of roasted broccoli between the two of them and fight over the last piece. My older daughter will eat raw broccoli. My younger daughter will not. So it's just those different ways. So I love that.
Yeah,
I think that's
for my
really
kids,
solid advice.
Broccoli, this is weird. My 4-year-old loves just plain seamed broccoli. Yeah. And then I roasted it and I was like, oh, everybody loves roasted vegetables. And I offered it to them and she was like, no, I just want plain broccoli. And I was like, okay. But my 2-year-old ate it. So like you said, it's okay. I just kind of pick my battles, and I think that it's a win if they like it one way. Great. That's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think accepting, and this is another question we'll get to in a minute, but accepting that our kids are going to have different preferences and we can't always please everyone. So it is okay if they're, one of them likes it one way and one of them likes it the other way or doesn't like it that way. We do our best to serve our families as well as we can, but sometimes, serve our whole family, as well as we can, but sometimes just one of them's going to eat the broccoli that night, and that's okay. And so I guess, I love everything you said. And just to piggyback on that, I think one of the strategies that I hear a lot about is hiding foods. So that if your kids don't know that this is in there, you'll get extra nutrition in them. And I'm not a huge fan of hiding foods, mostly because if they don't know that they're eating broccoli, they're not going to know that they like broccoli.
Totally.
So I'm like, I want them to know and be a part of enjoying those foods and choosing to eat those foods. But that being said, I do like to add extra nutrients in foods that I know that they already enjoy. So adding in vegetables. If any of you know Tasha from The Natural Nurturer, she was like one of my absolute first podcast guests. She's fantastic. She has this, she calls it the veggie loaded approach, where she adds veggies to a lot of different meals. She has a great Instagram and a blog. And so I like taking her approach for some recipes and adding in veggies where I can, but I don't necessarily hide them. The kids know that there are veggies in the meatballs. So there's one meatball with veggies in it. My kids love. It's a turkey meatball with Middle Eastern spices and shredded sweet potato, and we'll serve it with tahini sauce over top. Actually, it's curry that I use in that. I'm like, what is in my recipe? This one is my recipe. It's a curry. They're curried spice meatballs with shredded sweet potato. You can see the sweet potato in it, but my kids like meatballs. And so they're a little bit more inclined to try it. And both of my kids do like sweet potatoes otherwise. So it's not necessarily something that they wouldn't eat, but usually they'll go, oh, I like meatballs. And so they're more likely to try it because it is in meatball form. So sometimes encouraging them, I think, with something that is already something that they're already comfortable with, rather than putting a whole, baked sweet potato or something like that in front of them and being like, enjoy. And they're like, what is this thing? But, oh, it's a meatball. I'll try it in the meatball. And then they enjoy it. We also love doing veggies and pasta sauce as well. And you can see the veggies in the pasta sauce. So again, it's one of those, they're in there and they'll go, what's in here? I'm like, oh, it's carrots and zucchini. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And they always enjoy it. I know I'm only giving kind of meat examples here, but those are two.
Well, I do it in muffins. Let's see, I did zucchini or carrots and muffins.
Yeah,
and same thing, because they opened the muffin and they were like, Mom, did you put in this?
Yes.
And so I just told them, because I agree.
Yeah.
I think if you don't, first of all, I like to be truthful with them, but then second of all, if you're not telling them, then how do they know they don't like it? Or that they do like it. Right. So I said, I put zucchini and carrots. And they're like, I don't like, all my 4-year-olds said, I don't like zucchini and carrots. I said, well, you should at least try it. And then she ate the entire muffin, of course, because it was delicious. And so then it just gave the opportunity for the next time, like if I put zucchini in like a fried rice or something like that. And she said, I don't like zucchini. I said, well, you liked those muffins with zucchini. Why don't you try this? It kind of just was a nice way for her to kind of reference back and be like, oh, I did like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. Just going, you did enjoy it in this way, so maybe we can try it in this way as well. Yeah, it's funny. The muffin example is great because I just made some oat flour muffins a few weeks ago, and I made them with Ren, my 4-year-old, and we did them 3 different ways. So she did blueberry lemon, and that's the ones I thought she was going to enjoy because she loves blueberry. She loves lemon. She wants lemon on everything. This is like a phase she's in right now. She'll put lemon on plain rice, and that's all she'll eat for dinner. That's another story for another day. That's her new favorite thing. So I thought she was and she did enjoy the blueberry lemon ones. We did chocolate chip, which she also enjoys. And then we made a spiced it was sweet potato apple muffin. Again, I'm not sure what is in my own recipes, but it was a sweet potato apple muffin. And I guess my MO is just putting sweet potatoes in everything, but she actually enjoyed that one the most out of all of them. And I just had her help me. And I think that's another strategy for encouraging kids who might say that they don't like anything or who might not be as interested in trying new things, is have them help you in the kitchen. Every time I have my kids help me in the kitchen, they're at least curious enough to try the recipe because they've been a part of it. And I know it's not always possible. When both of my kids are home, it's next to impossible because they both want to be in the kitchen with me at once. But when I have one of them at a time or one of them is occupied with something else, then I can bring one of them into the kitchen with me and they're more likely to try things too. So bringing kids in the kitchen, I think, is a way to just encourage them to eat new foods or to try new foods as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love having the kids in the kitchen. It does take a little longer, so I just have to remind myself to be patient. But it's a great teaching tool. And just like a good life skill to learn how to cook. That's how I learned to cook. And so you learn from a young age using wholesome ingredients and how to do all those things. It's a great skill that a lot of people don't get to learn at home. So.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And, my mom and I joke that she cooks more now than she did when I was a kid because she didn't really have a ton of skills. She didn't learn a ton growing up. My grandma cooked very, very simple foods and she always cooked for the family and they always had food to eat, but she cooked very simple foods and didn't really teach my mom anything. And my mom didn't really teach me anything. So very thankful that I had that passion for cooking early on and I was able to kind of learn, but it's something that we want to pass on to our kids. And now my 8-year-old is wanting to create her own recipes. And so she'll ask me if she can help me create a new recipe, or she actually has a recipe that she created on my website for like an apple crumble that we made a couple years ago, where she came up with all the ingredients, couple suggestions for ratios from mommy. But she likes to create in the kitchen now too. So yeah, getting our kids in the kitchen is great. So I love all of these. Yeah, trying out different ways of eating different foods, especially different vegetables, putting some extra nutrients in foods they already enjoy. I'm trying to look at my notes and see any other things that I wanted to mention. Smoothies are a great way to add in extra nutrients too. Yeah, a lot of kids are pretty receptive to drinking smoothies, especially if they are fun colors. Like my kids are not so interested in green smoothies, but they might have greens in them, but they look like they're bright pink or bright purple. And so they like those. So those are some good ways too. And I just kind of ask myself, where can I add in more nutrients if my kids are in more of a picky phase? So I'll mix zucchini noodles in with pasta noodles. Sometimes they eat them, sometimes they don't. I'll use cauliflower on shepherd's pie instead of potatoes. And they actually love that. And they don't really care. And some kids will, but they like them. So every kid is different, but I try to add in kind of where I can, but again, without sort of trying to hide it, but just trying, like you said, new ways of kind of enjoying some of those.
I do. So like my kids love nachos. Of course, who doesn't? But a really easy way to add some like veggies is I'll just do like sliced bell peppers or something like that on top with the cheese. And then I put the guac, like whole fat Greek yogurt, kind of make them a nacho thing, and they love it. And they usually will actually eat the vegetables on it and not pick it off, which is nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, actually, that is probably, I mean, I don't think at least my 4-year-old would not eat nachos. There's too many things touching each other. I think she would be like, I'm not sure about this. My 8-year-old loves nachos. So I'm impressed that your little ones love nachos. That's a great idea. Yeah. I think that principle of kind of putting some of those nutrient dense foods in or around foods they already enjoy kind of encourages them without trying to like trick them. It just encourages them to eat some new types of foods. So yeah. Okay. So the next question kind of piggybacks off of that as well. And it's how to deal with picky kids when each kid wants different things. Okay. What do you think about this one?
Well, this is funny because I do not cater to each kid necessarily, if I'm being completely honest. But I do also recognize kids go through phases and one kid might not want something on their plate. And so I do usually, like say if my 2-year-old doesn't want broccoli for some reason, I usually will put one piece on her plate. Like I don't load it high with broccoli and I say, can you try it once, and maybe she doesn't want to because she's 2 and sometimes you just don't want to do things and that's fine. I just kind of leave it there for her to look at and try, and then I'll try again later. So I guess the way I deal with it is I don't make different meals is what I'm going to say, because I do think they learn when they're hungry, they do eat. At least my kids do. I've never had an issue with that. And I do consistently still offer whatever they're saying they don't like, but I don't ever force them to eat. I don't know if you guys ever had this. This maybe was like more of our generation, but it would be like, you can't leave the table until you finish this food sort of thing. Yep. And I never do that. I usually will say you need to take at least one bite and try it.
Yeah.
And then if they're not going to eat it, that's okay. Because what happens is the next morning at breakfast, they're starving and they want to eat, they'll eat. So I just think that also gives a healthy relationship with food, teaching kids how to have a healthy relationship food, that food nourishes you and that you eat when you're hungry, those sorts of things too. So, but yeah, I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Oh, it totally does. I think so, because I am very similar. Like I said, I'm not a short order cook. I'm not going to cook different meals for my kids. And none of this is to like make you feel bad if you're listening and you do serve your kid different meals. I think sometimes it is easier to just go, I just want them to eat something, so I'm going to make them something different. But I think when we get into that habit of serving them different meals, they expect their own meal catered to them, and then they're less likely to eat the other foods that we're eating. And it's when is that transition point? Like when are you going to expect them to eat the, I don't know, the real meal or whatever you want to call
like
it,
the adult
family
food.
meal. Yeah, the adult food versus what you've been serving them for years and years. So I think, it's never too late to start serving them the family meal. And we're the same way. We will serve what we serve. And there have been nights where our 4-year-old, more selective, will refuse to eat dinner. And it's fine. Your kids will be fine if they don't eat one night. They can go to bed and, like you said, wake up very hungry the next morning. Or like I mentioned, sometimes my 4-year-old will just eat rice and with lemon juice squeezed on top.
Right.
That's her current favorite. And it's something, right? We obviously encourage balanced meals. We want to make sure that they are getting in some veggies for some fiber. We want to make sure they're getting in protein, but some nights that's the reality and that's okay. I have a culinary degree and my kids don't eat my cooking sometimes, and that's okay because, they're humans too, and they have their own opinions and it's okay. But I mean, that's kind of how we approach things too. The only other strategy that we tend to use when kids because our kids do like different things, and there are some things, like I mentioned, the roasted broccoli, they both love, is something I like to call base meals. And so really we just choose a base. And so oftentimes this is rice or quinoa, or usually it's rice or quinoa, to be honest, because we do a ton of bowls just like you do. So we'll do rice or quinoa. And then they get to choose the toppings that they add on it. So we will put all the toppings out kind of family style at the table. I think I kind of mentioned this before, and they will just add whatever they want to. So, if they don't want to put the sauce on top, they don't have to put the sauce on top. If they don't want this veggie, they can. I usually try to give a couple options for toppings. So like a couple different types of veggies. Usually it's just one type of sauce. They can just leave the sauce off if they want. 1 or 2 proteins. So we'll do burrito bowls. We'll do Greek bowls. We will do peanut chicken bowls. We love pulled pork as well. And so we'll have like several different options, and they can kind of put on what they want and leave what they don't. And that just encourages everyone to kind of be eating dinner together, and they kind of can choose that. But if it's a family meal, we do the same thing. We just want you to try it, because you don't know if you don't like it if you don't try it. And so they have one bite, and sometimes it's my 4-year-old taking up like the tiniest little piece and like pulling it up to her mouth as slowly as possible and like touching her tongue to it and going, I don't like it. Okay, that's fine. We're not gonna force them to eat either. But we also, we don't serve them different meals. We just sort of encourage the family dinner and continue to serve it to them, even if they're like, I don't like this, because maybe one day they will. And I think I mentioned this. I did a podcast episode. We talked about picky kids a little bit with my friend Heather a few months ago. And I think I mentioned this in that episode where my youngest daughter, again, the one who's a little bit more selective, she was convinced she didn't like carrots at all. She would not eat carrots. She wouldn't eat them raw. She wouldn't eat them cooked. And then she realized that there were carrots in chicken soup. And chicken soup is her favorite food. She will eat chicken soup breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And she realized there were carrots in chicken soup and was like, oh, I love carrots.
Mind blown.
And she will eat carrots every way now. She will eat them raw. She will eat them roasted. She'll eat them in soup. She will pick carrots out of soup and just eat those. And so, sometimes it's just about serving multiple different times, and then maybe eventually they'll try it. Maybe they won't, but oftentimes they do.
Yeah, I agree. And then sometimes, at least for my 2-year-old, if she sees her older sibling trying something, sometimes she just wants to try it because they tried it, which is great. Then she can at least try it and see if she likes it herself or not.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of that like healthy peer pressure from big sister or big siblings can be helpful too. Yeah, I'm hoping that my little one gets more to that point, but at this point, she's pretty set for what she likes and what she doesn't, depending on the night. But it changes. Sometimes she'll try it, sometimes she won't. And so I think, just being flexible about that and not stressing out about it. It's okay. Like kids self-regulate. I've talked about this in the podcast before, but that was one of the most interesting things I think I learned in my life cycle nutrition class. And this is way before I had kids. This is back in college. This is like 15 years ago. And I remember learning in one of my nutrition classes that kids self-regulate. And as long as they are served, I think it's 3, I want to say it's as long as they're getting like 3 square meals a week is what it is. I don't quote me on that because I'm not sure if that's the exact amount, but it's something like 3 to 7 full meals a week. They'll be getting the nutrition they need. Like if your kids aren't eating 3 perfectly balanced meals every single day, it's okay. Kids know, they naturally know when to eat when they're hungry, when to stop when they're full. And even if they only eat rice and lemon for an entire day, their bodies will tell them that they need to eat more later on. They'll eventually
survive.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are kids, I should mention, there are kids with sensory issues, and this can be difficult, right, for some kids. And so we're not talking about those special
or special nutritional need your kid may need.
Right. Yes. We're talking about just in general. Definitely get some help if you feel like your kids have sensory issues, because that's a whole other ballgame. So yeah, but for general kids, I think that works out pretty well. Okay. The next question that I have is on kids' lunch ideas. So I'm going to let you take this one away too, because I have a lot of kid lunch ideas, but lunch ideas that my kids will actually eat are far fewer. So what are some of your favorite kid lunch ideas?
Yeah. Okay. Well, some of my kids' favorites. Okay. So they love nachos. So I mentioned that. And I love that because you can get like avocados on there and salsa, which is tomatoes, and they'll eat salsa. But like sometimes if you gave them straight up tomatoes, they're not going to eat it. So, so salsa, cheese, I'll put veggies on there. If I have leftover rotisserie chicken or something like that, I'll throw some other meat or protein on there. And I love that. They usually down that. I love doing like kid charcuterie boards. I think they like that because it's fun, because it's a whole bunch of different things on a plate, right? So we'll do sliced cheese and crackers. I love I usually just focus on wholesome ingredients with less processed things, right? So I usually avoid like inflammatory oils and that sort of thing from their high fructose corn syrup. But Simple Mills make these really amazing almond meal crackers. And they love those. So I put those on there with cheddar cheese and sometimes like pepperoni and deli meat. And then they love cashews for some reason. So we'll do like some nuts, cashews, and some kind of sliced fruit. And then they love sliced cucumbers. So we'll always do like cucumbers and a little hummus. So it's like a whole bunch of little things. And they will both, my 4 and 2-year-old will eat that. My 10-month-old obviously isn't eating that yet. And then they also love things like just like a normal sandwich. Weirdly, just with like a turkey, cheese, mustard on a good quality bread. And I usually always offer some kind of sliced vegetable and fruit on the side, just to bounce out. Now, do they always eat it? No, but I offer it. Yes. And then I'm trying to think I had a couple others written down here. Oh, naan pizzas. So this is really fun because it's something they can kind of make themselves. So if you just get some like naan breads and you can put like a pizza sauce on it. Trader Joe's makes a pretty good pre-made pizza sauce. So if you put that on there with some cheese, pepperoni, vegetables, and you can just like broil that in the oven and it's like pizzas, which they think is fun, but they can help make it. We also will do quesadillas is a really fun one. That's easy because I like to do chicken, broccoli, cheddar sometimes, an easy way to put some vegetables in there as well. And then they love guacamole and salsa and sour cream. So I put that on the side for them. Mac and cheese is another good one, and a really easy one to make homemade where you can just kind of control the ingredients. Now, do I give box mac and cheese? Yes. I'm not saying I don't, but you can batch prep like a big thing of mac and cheese to use for the week. And it's so easy. And my kids love broccoli. So I put broccoli in a lot of things. So broccoli and mac and cheese. And sometimes I'll use like the Bonza noodles, the chickpea noodles, because I just like that they have a higher protein content in them. Or I'll add, again, leftover protein or chicken to it. And they usually eat that really well. So those are probably like some of our top things. Oh, and peanut butter and jelly. They just always love peanut butter and jelly. So I don't know what it is about peanut butter and jelly and kids, but yes. We do peanut butter and jelly with fruit or sliced vegetables. A lot of times if they don't want to eat the sliced vegetables by themselves, they're really into hummus. Or if you make like a homemade, like I say ranch dip, but I just do like Greek yogurt with some dried herbs and like lemon in it. It tastes like ranch, and they love dipping like carrots in that. So
yeah. And those are awesome suggestions. So funny enough, my kids do not like sandwiches. Neither of them. They don't like sandwiches. They like grilled cheese. They do like grilled cheese, but the only sandwiches my kids will eat, they won't even do peanut butter and jelly. So, that's not true. My oldest daughter will do peanut butter and honey. She likes peanut butter and honey, and she likes jelly. She'll do jelly on toast, but peanut butter and jelly, she will not eat. She will eat jelly and cream cheese, which I find kind of odd, but I mean, it makes sense because the cream cheese is creamy and a little salty. The jam is sweet, goes well together. So she will eat those. She'll eat the cream cheese and jelly and peanut butter and honey. She can't take it to school with her though, unfortunately. So that is difficult because she is in school right now.
Oh yeah.
So she can't take that. But overall, my kids don't love sandwiches. So this is one of those areas where we've had to experiment and try new things. And I haven't thought about like batch cooking mac and cheese at the beginning of the week and having that for lunches during the week. I love that because we will also do box mac and cheese on occasion. Usually that's for date night. We'll do the kids. We'll do box mac and cheese because they think it's so special and so exciting. Like,
And I like to have it for a pin. Like if I'm just like, we're running behind, I need something really easy. It's just great to have.
Yes.
Because let's be real, life is crazy.
Yes. And we all have those nights or days where we just have to do box mac and cheese. But I also love Bonza Pasta. That was actually something that I was going to mention previously when we were talking about adding more nutrients for kids, because it's made from chickpeas and my kids love it. They don't notice a difference, and it's got fiber in it. It's got plant-based protein in it. So that's a great option too, whether you're making mac and cheese, or I love doing a pasta salad for my kids. They like pasta cold. And so we'll do a pasta salad that I'll make. And that's better in kind of the warmer months. We're coming into the warmer months now. So I'll do something that I call a pizza pasta salad. So it's basically everything you would put on a pizza. So I do like little mozzarella cheese balls. I do olives. I do grape tomatoes that are cut up. What else do I do in there? those are the main ingredients. And I do kind of like an Italian sauce, a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some Italian herbs, not a sauce, but a dressing over that. And my kids love that. And they will. And even my 4-year-old, because she likes all of the ingredients in it, she'll pick out each piece. Like she would never stab her fork into the tomato and the olive and the pasta all at once, but she will eat a piece of the pasta and then a piece of olive and a piece of tomato. So that's one that they love for lunches, and it's easy because it doesn't have to be served warm. So if they are going to school, because my little one goes to school 3 days a week and my big kid goes to school 5 days a week. So we kind of think of, I have different days and different lunches for different days. So this is an interesting one where we've had to kind of navigate what can we serve them at school because they don't like sandwiches. So we will also do the kids charcuterie board. I love that because that's my kids' favorite meal. We call it a snack plate. And so we'll do cheese. Simple Mills crackers do not last in our house because my kids love them so much. They're actually Ren's favorite food, she says. They're Simple Mills crackers, just the classic, the actual like classic flavor. My older daughter loves the rosemary ones and the farmhouse cheddar. I love all of them too. But we will also do that with the cheese and crackers, and they love pepperoni. They really love the Applegate turkey pepperoni. That's their favorite because it's not too spicy. So if your kids haven't liked that, they really enjoy that one specifically. They like the beef one, but they tell me it's too spicy. So we'll do that. We also love quesadillas. My kids will eat pretty much anything in a quesadilla. My little one really likes black beans and corn in a quesadilla. So we'll do black beans and corn, and she loves dipping in sour cream, guacamole, even just a simple quesadilla with some cheese in there. We also love broccoli cheddar. My oldest will eat chicken Is it opposite? One of my kids will eat chicken in quesadillas. The other one won't. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure the oldest one will not eat chicken in quesadillas. The youngest one will. Kids are so funny.
I know. And it can change week by week. So
literally week by week. And they'll go to me because I try to keep up with them, right? And know what they like. And they'll say to me, Mommy, I don't like chicken in my quesadilla. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you did last week. And they're like, no, I didn't. And I'm like,
didn't you just have that? Like my kids said that about mac and cheese. They went through a week where they didn't want to have mac and cheese. I was like, we're going to have mac and cheese for lunch. They're like, we don't like mac and cheese. I'm like, what do you mean? What kid doesn't like mac and cheese? What are you
talking about? Last week. So those of you listening are totally normal if your kids decide that they like something one week and don't the other. We also love any sort of veggies with dip. So we will serve that on the side as well. We love hummus. I make a dip that we call the Hulk dip. And actually, this one's going to go up on my Instagram probably in the next week. And it's actually green goddess dip. So it uses white beans and garlic and lemon and a ton of greens. So I do spinach and I do basil and chive. So it's got a ton of herbs, a ton of nutrients. Another great way to add nutrients in. It's bright green. My kids aren't a huge fan, like a lot of other kids are, of things that are bright green. But my oldest daughter and I named it the Hulk dip several years ago. So now they'll eat it. So they'll eat it with raw vegetables. They'll eat that. Actually, it's usually just raw vegetables, crackers as well. They'll dip crackers into there. And so we do a lot of veggies and dip as well. So that's really, those are the main things that we serve our kids. It's usually some sort of kids charcuterie board, quesadillas. They also love deli meat and cheese skewers. So I got these cute little kid skewers on Amazon. So they're not like the big long skewers you would use to grill. They're plastic and we reuse them. We just wash them and reuse them. And they're like, I'm like holding it up, but they can't see. They're like, I don't know, maybe 4 inches or so long. And they have the tip it's sharp enough that you can stab something onto it, but it's not gonna like hurt them. And so they have little like hearts or stars or whatever on the top, and we'll do like a little bit of deli meat, a little bit of cheese, and kind of make a little skewer for them, which they like pulling off. It's kind of more fun for them to eat. So we'll do that sometimes. But they are very much, some weeks they like it, some weeks they don't. I do love making homemade chicken nuggets too, because my kids love chicken nuggets, and we will keep frozen chicken nuggets in the freezer too. We are not above frozen chicken nuggets. We will not do that. All. They actually there is a brand, and I can't remember what brand it is, but we get them at Whole Foods. And they have veggies in them too. I know I mentioned not liking hiding veggies from my kids. They don't know there's veggies in these, but they really love them.
Yeah.
So that's the one place where I guess I inadvertently hide veggies. But I do like to make homemade chicken nuggets. And I do have chicken nuggets that have veggies in them too. So I'll make those, and I'll make a batch of those and freeze some of them too. And we've previously reheated them in the oven, but we just got an air fryer. So I've got to try them in the air fryer. So that's one of the things I like to do is if I am making something like meatballs or chicken tenders or chicken nuggets or something like that, I will try and make extra, and then we can reheat those for lunches later on.
I like doing that too.
Which is so helpful because you're like, oh my gosh, we have nothing for lunch, because there are days my kids are extra hungry and there are days my kids don't want to eat anything. So we can always kind of use the freezer for those type of things. So yeah, I think that's
Will
it.
your kids eat wraps?
Oh, that was something I'm going to mention. They don't like wraps as a wrap. So they will eat them as kind of a roll up. So I will do deli meat and usually mustard, because my kids love mustard, or hummus.
Mine too.
And so we'll do, I don't know, they will dip anything. My mom thought this is funny. We were all eating lunch together a couple weeks ago. My mom's gotten a lot of shout outs on this episode tonight. And yeah, thanks, Mom. But we were all eating together, and she had made up some lunch for my 4-year-old, and she had tomatoes and cucumbers, and she was like, do you want anything to dip? And my mom is referring to like hummus or salad dressing or something like that to dip into, and because she has all those things at her house. And my 4-year-old was like, I want mustard. And she's like, to dip your veggies in? And she's like, yeah. And she sat there and ate them with mustard. My mom was like, I don't know. And she was like telling everyone. She was telling my dad. She's like, my sister, do you know Ren ate her veggies with mustard? And they're like, Well, my kids love mustard. So we'll roll it up. So we'll do some sort of deli meat and cheese for the younger one, not for the older one, because you cannot put cheese in a sandwich. My 8-year-old will not eat cheese in a sandwich. I don't know. And we'll roll it up and we'll slice it. So it's like we'll call it sandwich.
Like a little sushi roll thing.
So it's like a little sushi roll. Yeah. My kids would eat sushi for lunch.
Like banana too. So if you do like the peanut butter on it, and then you put the like whole banana and sometimes like honey or something, and then you roll it up.
My 4-year-old will eat that. My 8-year-old won't. So that's a great idea. Yeah. So they will eat that. So that's something that they'll love. And we're also not above grass-fed hot dogs and ketchup. We also keep those in our freezer too. So good quality hot dog. We use Butcher Box as a service to get some good quality meat, but we also love the ones from Trader Joe's. They have a grass-fed beef hot dog. So just a little bit better. And yeah, they love that.
I know. I always say, because I always don't like, when I talk with friends or something like that, I'm like, I never want people, don't feel bad about using things that are pre-made or making it convenient for you and your family, right? Like, I always say, just focus on quality of ingredients, and one boxed Kraft mac and cheese is not going to kill you if you, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty.
Right. So. Yeah, no, it's totally okay. And it's normal. Like we eat shortcut dinners too. And we'll talk about that in a second. And we do what we can for lunches, because lunches are definitely the hardest meal of the day for both my kids and me. That's usually the one meal that I will like prep ahead for myself, because otherwise I'm standing in front of the fridge going, my husband usually eats the leftovers. And so I'll stand in front of my fridge and go, what am I going to have for lunch? So kids are hard. They are hard sometimes. And that midday meal. So hopefully we gave you some ideas. It may be different than foods that you already feed your kids. Maybe not, but that's real life. This is how we feed our kids for lunch. So the next question is actually so it's a 2-part question: favorite healthy dinners and quick meal ideas. Well, these were 2 questions, but I kind of put them together. So what are some of your favorite healthy dinners for your family, and maybe some quick meal ideas?
So this is a good one. Favorite healthy dinner and quick meal. I love soups. Soups, I feel like, hit both categories, because soups tend to be so easy. If you're either doing it in the Instapot or the crock pot or, on the stove, they tend to be relatively quick prep time. So I always love soups. Now for the summer, I don't crave soups quite as much. So I don't eat them as much, but I did mention bowls of any type, because I feel like bowls are great. You can just add whatever ingredients you have at home. So whether that's just, if I have a meat, I'll grill it quickly and add like it on top of a base of grain. A lot of times we do quinoa or rice, and then I'll add a bunch of roasted veggies and make a quick sauce or something like that is easy. or Greek bowls are really easy because I usually have hummus on hand. I usually have Greek yogurt that I like to put on it. And then I usually have, the other ingredients, lettuce, feta, cheese, all those things, tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my go-to quick and easy. There's usually some kind of bowl and soups. And then I love summer because you can just throw everything on the grill and it's so easy. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yes.
So I have a couple like quick recipes, like 30-minute marinades that I like to do.
Yeah.
If I'm being really ultra prepared, sometimes I'll marinate the night before. So then it's just prep the next day, and I'll just throw like sweet potatoes on the grill with olive oil, salt and pepper, throw a bunch of asparagus and the chicken, and we're done. It's so easy. So sheet pan meals, I think, also tend to be really easy. I don't know if you make any, but one I like is I like to use like a sausage. So I'll get like a sausage from Trader Joe's, something like, and I'll slice it up with just whatever vegetables I have on hand. It tends to be like bell peppers, onions, and sometimes broccoli or some kind of green. And I just season it with like Italian seasoning and olive oil and like some paprika because I like a little spice. And if I have fresh herbs I want to throw on there, toss it and I roast it in the oven for like 25, 30 minutes. And then I throw it on top of a grain and it's done. So I don't know.
I think that's a great suggestion. Well, I love sheet pan meals too, but I don't make them enough. I think that, and that is basically the exact same thing I will do with sheet pan meals. I love like chicken sausage because it's pre-cooked. And so you don't even have to worry about it getting to a certain temperature. You can just toss it on with veggies and my kids love that too. Yes. Yep.
It's from Trader Joe's. It's like a chicken sausage from Trader Joe's.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is one of those things. Actually, we'll talk about healthy meal staples. I always keep chicken sausage on hand because that's one of those things that my kids will always eat, or I say always, but almost always eat is chicken sausage. And it lasts for a while in the fridge. So I'll pick up a couple packs anytime I go to Trader Joe's, and we have that and we will use it in a ton of meals too. So yeah. I didn't want to cut you off. I didn't know if you had any other.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to think what else I like to do. I love anything. I think fried rice or any kind of like rice, one pan rice dish is a really good, easy meal to make. And just a lot healthier than if you were to get out because you're controlling the ingredients in it. You're not adding a ton of preservatives and stuff. So I love, like, my kids will eat fried rice. I will eat fried rice. So either if I have leftover old rice I want to use, that's a great way to do it. Or you can just make it all in one skillet. So I like to add like a bunch of veggies, ginger, garlic, a little soy sauce or coconut aminos, green onion. And then sometimes we'll do it without chicken, and I'll just add the eggs for the protein for that meal. Or if I have chicken or steak or something like that, or shrimp, I'll add that in. And it's the kind of meal that almost like everyone will eat it. The kids will eat it too. So it's always a win. And then my 10-month-old can also eat it because I can just sprinkle the rice with the chopped veggies small on her plate and she'll eat it all. So yeah, that's a meal that our family really enjoys too, is an easy fried rice, because you can use whatever protein you have on hand as well. Like you said, if you have any leftover protein, we love shrimp. That's the one that we use most often because shrimp is super quick and easy to cook. And I will keep a bag of frozen shrimp on hand at all times. Trader Joe's has this is just a Trader Joe's shout out episode as well. But they have a wild Argentinian caught shrimp, and it is. Yeah, it's so great. I keep it in the fridge all the time, and it's already peeled and deveined. You don't need to worry about that. And I will just defrost it and I will use it. I use it for shrimp tacos. I use it for shrimp fried rice. And it takes next to no time to cook up. So yeah, I would agree. Oh, I will say also another great easy meal is stir fry, just kind of going off that. Yeah. But stir fries are great because, again, you just use whatever you have in your pantry. You can have, if you want, you can do a jarred sauce, or making a stir-fried sauce is really, really easy. And it usually uses ingredients that are already in your fridge.
Yes. So. Yeah. Oh, I love all of those. Those are like very similar to what we cook too. So I wrote down kind of some of our favorite healthy dinners, and then also some kind of quick and easy. And a lot of these are going to echo the things that you said as well. So I actually was talking to my daughter Sage, my 8-year-old, the other day. I don't remember what we were talking about. And she was like, these are my favorite meals that you make. And I was like, okay, well, this is convenient. So her favorites, Sage's favorites, she loves my spaghetti squash bolognese. So I will say, as we've talked about several times before, my 4-year-old is more selective than the rest of us. So all the other three of us will eat spaghetti squash. The little one will not, but she will eat a bolognese sauce. So it's basically, it's a meat sauce, but I add veggies to it as well. So there's carrots in there and there's mushrooms in there. You can add other veggies in there as well. But so she will just eat it as is, almost like a meat sauce soup. That's fine. The rest of us love spaghetti squash. So we'll do that. And that's great in the winter time. I will bake it as a spaghetti squash boat too. And sometimes put a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top and bake that. Or sometimes we'll just serve it as is, or we'll use Bonza pasta. We'll use like a Bonza spaghetti. And oftentimes we'll mix it 50-50 with some zucchini noodles to get in some of that. I mentioned that earlier too. And I have 5-ingredient meatballs are one of my top 5 recipes that on my website that people view and download and all that. And they're literally just, let me see if I can remember the 5 ingredients. They're ground beef, Italian seasoning. I use almond flour to make them moist instead of breadcrumbs, but you can use breadcrumbs if you can't do nuts. An egg to bind it together, and salt. And that's it. They are super, super simple. And my kids love those. And so we'll keep those on hand. Oftentimes I'll make a big batch of those. And so they love the spaghetti squash bolognese. Spaghetti squash, another way to get in nutrients if your kids like spaghetti squash. Pasta is just quick and easy. We don't actually do a ton of pasta in our house because I find that, it just doesn't keep my kids full very long. But the 2 types of pasta we do are, I guess spaghetti squash is not pasta, but we do that bolognese with a Bonza pasta, or I make a cashew cream sauce that my kids love. And that one I've shared over on my Instagram. It's on the blog as well. And they love that with roasted broccoli. They mix it together almost like a dairy-free mac and cheese, and they absolutely love it. Oh, I should say they mix it together. The rest of us mix it together, except for my 4-year-old. So she eats it separate, but she will eat it up, and she loves that. So, and those are both really quick and easy. The bolognese takes a little bit of time, but it still comes together in like 15 minutes. And I basically get that on and then get the pasta going, and all that comes together in like 20 minutes. Meatballs obviously take a little bit longer, but like I said, I'll do a double batch of those. And then so I'll usually have some of those in the freezer, and then I can just defrost those and use them. Or you could just put them right into sauce. If you simmer sauce on the stove, add the frozen meatballs as long as they're already cooked in there, and heat them up that way. So those are kind of the quick and easy pasta meals that my kids love. I mentioned before, I do like making homemade chicken nuggets. They're a little bit more involved than my homemade chicken tenders. Again, we use almond flour for those, and very simple ingredients with these: Italian seasoning, garlic powder, salt, almond flour. And so we'll dredge them in some egg and then in the almond flour mix and bake those. I'm experimenting with air frying those as well. My kids love those. And they're, again, it's just like you were mentioning, you can control the ingredients. They're still chicken tenders. The kids love them, but they're using slightly better ingredients. We love serving those with sweet potato fries as well. And sometimes I'll do a little aioli on the side as well. All of us love aioli. And so we'll do those chicken tenders. Sometimes we do a veggie as well, or another veggie as well with that. My oldest daughter's favorite meal I make is my Tex-Mex turkey taco pie. It's got a very long name: Tex-Mex sweet potato turkey taco pie. I don't know. I haven't been able to shorten it over the years because it's taco seasoned turkey mixed with cooked with some bell peppers and onions, and then a layer of sweet potatoes and some Mexican cheese, and we bake it in the oven. I'm not a huge fan of casserole type dishes, and neither are my kids, because again, they like things kind of separated. That meal all of us love. And so that's one that I make usually, I was going to say a couple times a month. Every couple of months, I make that one, and we kind of bring that into the rotation. My kids really like that. That one isn't as quick and easy, but it is really easy to make ahead of time. So if you have time in the afternoon, I'll make that ahead of time and then pop it in the oven, and then it's done in like 20 minutes. I agree that soups are one that we love to make. We love chilies. It's starting to get warmer now, so we're kind of moving away from chili season, but I put any sort of soup or stew or chili in the Instant Pot and or the slow cooker as well, like you said, and they come together so quickly. So I have a beef and butternut squash chili that I love to make. That one's actually a bean-free chili, and so we use the butternut squash for that heartiness in place of the beans, but we'll also do a classic chili. We'll do a white chicken chili. My kids love chicken soup. I mentioned that a few times. What kid doesn't love? What person doesn't love chicken soup? We all love chicken soup. I make a copycat Panera Bread broccoli cheddar soup, which is delicious. It's a little bit more on the heavy side. It's definitely not a light meal. It's like there's a lot of cheese and cream in that soup, but when you want something really comforting, it is really delicious, and there's still broccoli in it. So
Yeah.
so those are some of their favorites. In terms of quick meals, we also love bowls. Like we make them at least once a week. So that is something that we love to do too. We also love a Greek bowl. I think I mentioned we love peanut chicken bowls. We'll do a barbecue pulled chicken bowl where I use shredded chicken, toss it in barbecue sauce, and then I will serve that with some roasted sweet potatoes as the base instead of like a rice or a quinoa. And then I'll do a quick slaw on the side, and that one's really good. We'll also use grilled barbecue chicken for that in the summertime as well. So we love bowls. We love taco night. So we will do a lot of different types of tacos. We'll do chicken tacos. We'll do shrimp tacos. I like to mix it up and do some sort of a slaw for that as well. I do a honey lime slaw, which is really tasty we'll do fish tacos sometimes or shrimp tacos. And again, chicken. We'll do beef tacos as well, but I like to mix it up and go kind of beyond the beef taco. Let me see. My kids love chicken parm. So we will do for a really quick and easy meal. Trader Joe's has this fantastic like frozen breaded chicken. It's not the most natural product in the world, right? But it's a little bit better than you can get. And it comes together really quickly. So we will do a 20-minute dinner. I will take the breaded chicken from the freezer section of Trader Joe's. So sometimes I make my own homemade, sometimes I get it from the freezer section, and we'll put sauce and mozzarella cheese on top, roast it up, roasted broccoli on the side. And my kids absolutely love that. And we love it too. Yeah. So that one's really easy. We also love fried rice. One of our favorite meals actually is if we're totally in a pinch, I love making a homemade Caesar dressing. So we usually have that. And so we'll do a Caesar salad, either a kale Caesar or a Caesar with romaine and rotisserie chicken. So that's really easy. My kids love rotisserie chicken, probably because it's extra salty. So we'll do that for a quick meal. We love salads in the summertime, and I make a lot of homemade dressings just because they're an easy way to avoid some of those extra processed oils, things like that. And they're really easy to make and store in your fridge. So we'll do salads with grilled meat on top. We also love Greek chicken wraps. So I love marinating meats. So I will marinate chicken in Greek yogurt and oregano and lemon juice and garlic, Greek seasonings, basically. I'll marinate it usually overnight, but I'll even do it for an hour or two sometimes, grill that up and do a Greek chicken wrap. You can do the same thing in a bowl, like you mentioned. And, salmon too. My kids actually love salmon. For my younger one being a little bit selective, she loves salmon. And so that fish comes together so quickly. So that's a great, quick and easy meal. We will keep it in the freezer. You do have to remember to defrost it. Quickest way to defrost fish, if you have forgotten to defrost it, is in cold water in a bowl. And so it will defrost in like an hour or so if you do forget, because I have forgotten. And so we'll do like a honey Dijon salmon, or we'll do a salmon and I season with ginger, garlic, and coriander and just sear that in a pan. Usually we serve it with rice and some sort of veggies. My kids love when I roast up green beans and make them nice and crispy. And that's one of our favorite meals. And all of those come together, the bowls, the tacos, the chicken parm, fried rice, other than marinating, the Greek chicken wraps, Caesar and rotisserie chicken, the salmon, they all come together in like 20 minutes. So you really healthy dinner does not need to, or any sort of dinner doesn't need to take a long time. And I think, that is such a huge myth that I think eating healthier is going to take longer. It's going to be more stressful, and it can be just as easy. It's just about thinking about those ways that we can bring in the nutrients, we can bring in the veggies in different ways, and we can serve them in ways our family enjoys.
Yeah. And I think something that really helps me as like a busy mom, doing all kinds of things is planning out my meals for the week is like hands down one of the best things I can do, because when I don't plan and then I'm scrambling, I'm stressed, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm missing one ingredient. But if you just sit down, and it does not take that long. You just kind of like plan out the meals you're going to have for the week. I even plan out like, okay, we're going to eat out this night probably, or order out, takeout or whatever. And then I have my grocery shopping done. It's just so nice to not have to worry about it and think of it the day of, just kind of knowing what's going to happen. I can prep it ahead of time. I can make it the night before if I want, because I'm going to have a crazy day or whatever, Yeah, I do think meal planning is key, and then also helps you, eat better instead of last minute being like, oh, we're going to order out just because I don't know what to make. It kind of helps with budgeting as well.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I'm all about meal planning.
Yeah.
But it is easy, even
queen.
though I'm all about meal planning, I have those weeks and where I don't plan or I don't plan effectively. And that's the key too, is like looking at your calendar and planning ahead. Yeah, this night's going to be crazy, so we are going to order takeout this night. That's totally okay. That can definitely be part of your meal planning. But what happens is, like you said, that scrambling where I'm like, I didn't look at my schedule and I planned out my meals and I was like, none of these are going to happen this week because we have this, and this, like our Thursday nights where for some reason we scheduled, the girls love their activities, but one of my kiddos has dance from 4:15 to 5:15 and the other one has Girl Scouts from 5:30 to 5 to 7, but it's a half an hour away. So she gets home at 7:30. So we have to somehow juggle the two children in two different places. And if my husband's ever not home, I'm sorry, but we have to like rocks, paper, scissors, who's going to go to their activity because it just doesn't happen. And those nights I need something quick and easy or we're doing takeout. And so if I plan something and I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen with all the activities and things like that, it's just sometimes it doesn't happen. So planning it out and planning kind of according to your schedule, I think is so huge. It really does help it actually happen. One of my
favorite easy in a pinch dinners where I am scrambling is breakfast for dinner because you can do the eggs. I always have bacon on hand usually or some kind of, breakfast meat. So eggs, bacon, toast, something like that. And you can make an omelet. Like I make each kid, like we make omelets or something like that. It's so easy. Yeah. And nutritious and filling, right? So
yeah, that's a great suggestion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. So many easy meal ideas. So hopefully they've gotten some really good easy meal ideas from us. Another question that I got that I think, and this is another 2-part question, so we can kind of split this up, but we kind of answered this in the last, I guess we kind of answered this with the last question on easy meals, but what are some of your healthy meal staple foods that you tend to keep on hand?
Mm-hmm. So I guess I can kind of divide it like pantry items versus like in stock fresh produce. I tend to always have bananas. My kids love bananas. So we stock a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. I try to do kind of seasonal fruits and vegetables just because obviously those are going to taste better. Mm-hmm. And berries are like $10, a pound in December. But so normally I try and do seasonal fruits and vegetables. Eggs, we always have eggs on hand. I eat eggs almost every morning for breakfast or every other morning. They're just a great protein source and my kids will eat them.
Yes.
And rolled oats. So there's a bag from Costco I love to snag if any of you are Costco members. But it's from, I think it's like 1 Degree Organics. It's like my favorite rolled oats or steel cut oats. Yeah, from there. They're really, really great. And then, and they're a great price point. Mm-hmm. I usually have like canned beans that I really like to use a lot for food. Yeah. So pantry items like garbanzo beans and black beans are probably my top beans that I use. I always have those on hand. I mentioned bacon for like breakfast for dinner, but I usually always have bacon because I use bacon in stocks, like a lot of times for soups, like for extra flavoring. I'll use it in egg bakes. I like to just eat it on the side. I'll make BLTs with them or BLT wraps or whatever. So we have a lot of bacon on hand. The chicken sausage that you mentioned, I always have that because that is like one of my go-to easy sheet pan dinners is slicing up the chicken sausage with vegetables. Sweet potatoes, always have sweet potatoes in the pantry. And then some other things are like Bonza Pasta. So I tend to have that. And then my favorite sauce is I love a good tasting marinara or like pasta sauce, and Rouse makes a really, really good tasty one. Yes. So they do have like some added sugar in it, which is fine. But the flavor of it is so good compared to other pasta sauces, if you know. And at Costco, you can get them like the 2 giant jars for such a good price. Can't remember what it is, but it's such a deal. So that's usually where I grab it. And so my easy, like go-to super easy dinner, another one is like I'll have ground beef. And so we can do ground beef with the Rouse with the Bonza sauce. And then I'll just put I'll toss that all together and put it in like a cast iron and then sprinkle some like fresh mozzarella on it and throw it in the oven to like bake it. And the kids really like that. It's kind of like a pasta bake that takes, 15 minutes. It's so easy. Yeah. And then you kind of mentioned like other staple items. I usually always have healthy, I don't know if this is healthy meal staples, but I usually have some kind of cheese, of course, because I use that for kid sandwiches, lunches. I get this like packaged guacamole from Costco. Now this is gonna be a Costco shout out, but they have a really good like organic guacamole that comes in like little cups that are really good snacks for the kids to eat. I love to have healthy, it's kind of veering off, but healthy snack items. I don't know about you, because with kids, like my kids want to, my 2-year-old especially is like in this phase of I want to live on snacks and snacks alone. So I have to have some kind of snack option. So like the Siete chips with guac are a really great one. She'll snack on those. The Simple Mills crackers with cheese. I do whole fat Greek yogurt because the whole fat is just going to keep them full. I mean, it's a better fat source and it keep you full longer and it tastes so good. So that with like crumbled granola, or I make homemade granola bars sometimes too. I just posted a recipe on my Instagram actually. You can crumble those on the yogurt with like fresh fruit. My kids love that for snacks. Another thing I like to use that whole fat Greek yogurt for is I make like a peanut butter dip for apples. So it's kind of like apples and peanut butter, but actually I just like take Greek yogurt and I put like a tablespoon of peanut butter and I stir it in to give it some flavor. And then I'll sprinkle some chocolate chips on top and the kids think it's so, like dessert-like, but they eat that with sliced apples and they love it. So that's another fun snack that they like. So I don't know if those are kind of my staples. Peanut butter, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else. Maybe while you're talking, I'll probably think of some more of my top ones. But frozen meats too. I always have like ground beef in the freezer, and then like frozen chicken. Because if I have frozen chicken, a big bag of quinoa, rice, chicken stock, I can sweet potatoes and greens. I can make like any kind of dinner real quick.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love all those. I'm thinking of so many as you're talking. I'm like, I wrote down some of them, and I'm like, yep, I keep that on hand too. And I keep that on hand too.
Smoothie items. I keep a lot of frozen fruit in the fridge too. I always have frozen bananas on hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We are very similar. We have a lot of very similar staple ingredients. So, I mean, we're the same in terms of we keep a lot of fresh items on hand, and we try to eat in season as much as possible in terms of our veggies. But then there are some veggies that our kids just always love. And so we will consistently buy the veggies that they love, especially the veggies in season they love. And fruit, we also try to eat in season. But if there's a good deal on berries, I will buy the berries because my kids will eat them. And so as much as we try to eat in season, we also but we do a lot of frozen fruits as well. And we'll also keep frozen veggies on hand for quick and easy meals. I love using frozen mixed veggies for curries because they hold their texture, I find, in curries, whereas sometimes I find frozen veggies can sort of turn to mush in different ingredients or different ingredients, different recipes. But we do typically keep frozen peas and frozen corn on hand to throw in different meals as well. Those aren't more starches than they are vegetables, but we'll keep those on hand. But we'll also keep frozen green beans. We'll cook frozen green beans right from frozen and we'll roast them up. And those are actually really delicious. My kids really like those. So we'll keep frozen veggies just to make sure we have some veggies on hand if we run out of fresh veggies. But our priority is always kind of fresh veggies. I always keep spinach on hand. We use that for smoothies, and then I'll toss a handful or two of spinach into pretty much every soup or stew that I make. And it just adds some extra greens, and my kids will either eat it or they'll pick it out. Either way, but I always have smoothie ingredients. Like I said, frozen fruit, I always keep because I drink smoothies for breakfast pretty much every morning. And my kids also love smoothies. And so we'll keep frozen fruit. We keep some sort of milk on hand. I don't tend to drink dairy milk because it just doesn't feel great. And so we'll keep almond milk, cashew milk, or oat milk on hand as well. So those are staples that we'll always have on hand. I usually have some sort of a protein powder for myself. For the kids, they do have a kids protein powder, but sometimes we'll just use Greek yogurt. We also keep full fat Greek yogurt on hand. My youngest daughter loves that for breakfast. So we'll always have that on hand. So that's definitely a staple for us. Eggs as well. If I am not drinking a smoothie for breakfast, I'm having eggs. Like that's basically the other option. So in terms of fridge ingredients, it kind of changes week to week because depending on what I'm cooking, but for the most part, fresh veggies, fresh fruit, always have spinach on hand, eggs, Greek yogurt. Like I mentioned, I always have that chicken sausage on hand as well. And I usually have a couple of packs on hand because that makes a quick and easy meal. We love that as a sheet pan. I also love slicing up the sausage. And speaking of frozen veggies, I will also slice it up and toss it in a pan with some avocado oil. And I will buy the fire roasted pepper and onion blend. It's a frozen vegetable blend from Trader Joe's, and toss that in and saute that up together. And we'll either serve that over rice, or sometimes they have these brioche hot dog buns and we'll make them into like sausage and pepper rolls. So let's see, other fridge staples. We always keep cheese on hand and some sort of deli meat, or the pepperoni I mentioned before, that Applegate turkey pepperoni, just for quick lunches for the kiddos. So we tend to keep those things in our fridge. We usually have some sort of either a sourdough or a sprouted grain bread. Kids love toast for breakfast. My husband loves sandwiches, so we like to keep that on hand. Those are kind of our fridge staples. Other than that, the veggies change week to week. The meats that we buy change week to week, but we typically do. We will have meat in our freezer, ground beef. We always have chicken breasts, chicken thighs, just for easy meals. We can defrost that. And frozen shrimp I mentioned too. We like to have that on hand for stir fries or fried rice or shrimp tacos. So we like to have those on hand. And those are kind of our fridge and freezer staples. In terms of our pantry, we always have quinoa on hand, and we always have rice on hand. So those are usually the base for bowls. I will sometimes do, I do have a quinoa fajita casserole recipe on the blog where I will toss quinoa with some sauteed peppers and onions. You can also use that same blend I mentioned for the sausage if you don't want to do fresh onions and peppers. And I'll mix that with some quinoa and fajita seasonings and some chicken that I've shredded up, either rotisserie chicken or chicken I've cooked in the Instant Pot. And then we will top that with cheese, or you can do it without cheese as well. That's a really easy dinner. And that sounds complicated, but it literally comes together in 20 minutes. And I will oftentimes do, when I do my meal prep at the beginning of the week, which I do pretty much every week for about an hour. I don't prep for hours and hours, but I'll cook some quinoa ahead of time. And because quinoa reheats really well, I find, compared to some other grains, especially compared to rice. Rice is great reheated in like not a stir fry, in fried rice, but I don't love reheated rice, but reheated quinoa is pretty easy. So we will use that in bowls throughout the week. I'll make a quinoa salad. So we love keeping quinoa on hand. We eat rice with a lot of our meals. Bonza pasta is also a staple for us. We always have a couple different types of Bonza pasta on hand. I mentioned the cashew cream sauce my kids love. We'll also serve it with a sauce. There's a couple sauces at Trader Joe's my kids really like, so we'll keep pasta sauce on hand as well. Beans and lentils. We do canned beans, and then I also keep dried beans on hand because I'll cook those up in the Instant Pot. If I'm going to cook beans more, or if I'm going to make beans more than once in a week, or serve a dinner with beans more than once in a week, then I will make them in the Instant Pot. If I'm just using them for one meal, I'll usually use canned. So we usually keep the same on hand. We keep chickpeas, we keep black beans. We usually keep white beans on hand too. So we definitely keep those on hand. I love lentil soup, or like a red lentil dal, a coconut dal. Coconut milk is something I always keep on hand too, because I love the green curry or a red curry. The kids tend to like the green curry. It's a little bit more mild. And so we'll keep that on hand as well. So always have coconut milk on hand. So we'll have various kind of nuts.
Same. It's good in smoothies too.
Yes. Yeah. It's so good. Oh my gosh. It makes it super creamy. Yeah.
Or like popsicles.
Oh, we haven't done popsicles with coconut milk.
Oh, yeah. If you make the strawberries with coconut milk, it's like so delicious.
Ooh,
and a little honey or maple syrup.
We're going to have to try that this summer. Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious. We always keep a lot of nuts and seeds on hand too. We'll make homemade nut milk, not every week. I'm not super mom, so we will not make it every week, but we'll make some homemade nut milk. I make that cashew cream sauce. And then I love making homemade energy balls. So we'll do a lot of those. And so cashews, almonds, we like to keep those on hand. Dates as well for making those energy balls. Dates are delicious by themselves too. I love a date stuffed with some almond butter as a snack.
Yeah, I do dates in my smoothies too.
Yes. Yeah. They're delicious. And we also keep a lot of snacks on hand too. We definitely always have peanut butter and almond butter on hand. We keep the same crackers and chips on hand as you. We love Simple Mills crackers. I also love the brand Mary's. They have gluten-free crackers, and they have a rosemary garlic cracker that is so delicious. It's slightly savory, slightly sweet, and it's really good with some cheese for a snack. I didn't mention in the fridge, hummus and guacamole are also some of our staples too. We usually keep some sort of a pre-made hummus. I love making it myself, but it's something I know the kids will always love dipping in. And so we always have some sort of hummus, and we do like guacamole on hand. Oh, I love keeping olives on hand as well, either in the pantry or in the fridge, because they just add a pop of flavor to different bowls. And I'll also do a picadillo recipe, which comes together in like 10 minutes with ground beef and some tomato paste and green olives and some peppers and onions. And everyone loves that. We'll serve that over rice as well. So those are kind of my main pantry staple ingredients. We also keep oats on hand. We'll do overnight oats. We'll make homemade granola. We will make baked oatmeal cups, so that we keep on hand as well, and lots of spices as well. I think spices are one of the best ways to jazz up your everyday meals, jazz up vegetables. We're talking about serving vegetables in different ways. So I love to keep a lot of spices on hand as well. So I think those are my main staple foods, very similar to yours. And we have very similar, we could share fridges.
We could probably share fridges. Our pantries would be very similar.
Yes. So the last question, we'll go ahead and wrap it up because your kiddos are getting a little bit antsy and my kiddos are going to get home soon as well. But oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. I also had a question on breakfast ideas. We talked about lunch. We talked about dinner. We might as well talk about all of the meals. So what are some of your go-to healthy family breakfast ideas?
Yeah. So I mentioned I love eggs for breakfast because eggs are so nutritious, but they also keep me full. You know, if I eat just straight up carbs, I'm not going to be full and like I'm going to need something else in an hour and a half. So so egg scrambles of any sort are a really great thing to do. So I'll throw whatever vegetables I have, a little feta cheese or goat cheese in there. And a lot of times the kids will eat them, or I'll just make them some plain and then they can eat the plain scrambled eggs and I'll eat the part with all the veggies in it. And I usually serve that with toast and then some kind of fruit on the side. That's like my go-to breakfast. But I do have a recipe for like a protein oatmeal bowl that I really like. That's on my Instagram page that the kids will also eat. And that's loaded with like a nut butter and like chia seed, hemp seeds, all of that on there, which is really, really good. I mentioned smoothies are definitely some of my go-tos. I just have to make sure I load my smoothies with some fats and proteins because otherwise, you know, you burn through it really quick and your blood sugar spikes. And then I'm like, oh, I have a sugar crash. So I love to add nut butters to my smoothies, either collagen peptides or protein powder is a really great way to add some protein, or whole fat Greek yogurt. I think my favorite smoothie recipe has like mixed berries, nut butter, spinach, I think, collagen peptides or protein powder. I can't do a ton of dairy just because I'm lactose intolerant, but I'll do like oat milk or whatever non-dairy milk. And I add in some like chia seeds and that sort of thing. And that's like a really tasty smoothie. Oh, I like to add a date in too because it adds a great amount of sweetness to it. And I actually just did a post on this yesterday on my Instagram page. I'm trying to think what else I put, like protein breakfast ideas. Yeah. Oh, yogurt bowls. I love Greek yogurt bowls, but again, I load it up. So I do tons of fruit, nut butter, crumble, like granola, sometimes a drizzle of honey or maple syrup. And then I also, some of my pantry items are like chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. So I'll do a bunch of sprinklings of those on there. And those are probably my go-tos.
It's such a great way, the hemp and the chia and the flax are such a great way to add a boost of nutrition in a very small way and just keep those on hand. And we'll do that with the kids too. And they have fun like sprinkling their own chia seeds or hemp seeds onto their food as well. We love yogurt bowls as well. My kids like different toppings on their yogurt bowls. So we will do something similar to those base meals, but yogurt's the base. And so they'll put what they want on. They like their yogurt more sweetened than I do. So they'll do honey or maple syrup on there with fruit. My kids don't actually like granola in their yogurt, which I don't understand because I love a good homemade granola.
Yeah. My kids kind of go through phases, but they do love hemp seeds, which is really funny because I'm like, I would think, oh, maybe they're not going to like the texture, but they wanted, the other day I gave it to Emily, like the yogurt, and they love honey. They're really into the yogurt honey thing right now. And I didn't put the hemp seed. She goes, yeah, I need more stuff. And I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. She was talking about the hemp seeds.
I love it. So it just goes to show as if we serve these foods to our kids, even if we think that they might not like them, they might like them. So we can offer them to them and they might surprise us. Okay, friends. So all of the children are home and melting down. So we're going to finish this up really quick. But a couple of my other ideas, I've already kind of shared some of these, but I love smoothies. I drink them pretty much every morning. The kids like them too. They have a kids protein powder that they'll add in sometimes, or whole milk Greek yogurt. I love doing egg cups, but only one of my kiddos will eat those. The other one used to. Now she's not into them, but those are one of my favorite, quick and easy. I love eggs as well. Like I mentioned, if I'm not drinking a smoothie, then I'll have eggs. But egg cups are really quick and easy, and we can heat them up we don't have a microwave, so we'll heat them up in a toaster oven or the oven. I haven't tried the air fryer yet, but we will make those in a muffin pan, and my kids love the broccoli cheddar ones. We will do Western style ones with a little bit of ham and peppers and onions. We will do a Greek style one, and I'll do feta cheese and tomatoes in there. So we love egg cups, and those we will actually just keep in the fridge and grab those for quick and easy breakfast. We love breakfast burritos. I will make those ahead and freeze those too. I love making a healthier waffle. And if I'm going to make them, I'll make a few and I'll freeze them. It's actually been a while since I've done that. And so in making this list, I was like, I've got to make those again.
But I do that with pancakes, but I haven't done it in a while too. Now that you say that, like I put them in the freezer, and it's so great because I just put them in the toaster.
Yes. Yeah.
And they turn out so
easy. Yeah. So I think just batching some extra items if you're going to make something a little bit more special, like waffles or pancakes or something, makes it so easy for quick and easy breakfast on busy mornings. My kids love toast. So we'll do toast with different toppings. We'll do toast. They love butter and jam, or we'll do peanut butter or almond butter and honey on top. We will do, let me see. I was trying to think of a couple other ideas. Those are kind of the main things that we will eat. I don't know if it's anything revolutionary, but they are, some things that my kids will generally eat. Oh, oatmeal cups too. So we will make, just like the egg cups, but we'll make baked oatmeal cups. And my kids like anything that they can pick up and hold in their hand and kind of eat like that. And so whenever we make kind of individualized things, my kids are at least willing to try it. And so those are kind of some of our favorites for breakfast. And then scrambled eggs and toast, of course. And usually we try to serve some sort of fruit on the side too. That's for breakfast. I focus on some sort of protein and then some sort of fruit. My kids don't usually eat veggies at breakfast. I do only because it's in my smoothie. And my go-to smoothie is very similar.
They used to. So like this morning I made the omelet with or scramble with like eggs and mushroom and spinach. And I, feta, I eat it.
Sounds
and then
delicious.
My 10-month-old will eat it still because I just cut whatever up and she'll eat whatever. But now my 2 and 4-year-old, they'll be like, why is there green stuff in our eggs? I don't want the spinach in here. I just want eggs. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll give you the plain eggs.
Choose your battles. That's what I said. It's the moral of the story with this episode is choose your battles. But I think we've given a ton of good ideas. This has been so fun to chat with you and to share about feeding our families healthy foods. I can't even count how many ideas we've given. So hopefully out of all of the ideas for breakfast, lunch, dinner, feeding kids who might be a little bit more selective, feeding kids of different ages, I think we gave a lot of good ideas and inspiration, even if our kids did end up melting down at the end of the episode.
I hope so. I hope it was helpful.
Oh my gosh. It has been so fun to chat with you, Leah, and have you on. I knew that this was going to be great. I knew that we have similar palates when it comes to food too. So I feel like we played off of each other a lot with our ideas. And so, hopefully everyone enjoyed this. So thank you again for joining me today. Do you want to just share with the listeners kind of where they can find you online so they can connect with you?
Absolutely. So thanks so much for having me. This has been so much fun, just chatting all things food, healthy eating, and how to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle as a family. So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is leahs.nourished.life. And that's just where I post all things recipes, food, balanced eating. I post some clean beauty on their info because I'm also a beauty counter consultant. That's something I love sharing about. But yeah, I would love to reach out to me there. I would love to connect you. You can connect to you. You can send me a DM. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, awesome. And I will link your Instagram in the show notes so they can find you over there as well. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthy Balance Mama podcast. If you loved it, would you take a screenshot and share it with a friend over on Instagram and tag me in it? It helps me so much to know what you love and are taking away from each episode. If you really loved it, would you hop over to iTunes and give me a star rating and review? Every rating and review helps this podcast be seen and heard by more women who need to hear the message of balance and wellness without deprivation. It's the best free gift you could give me. And as a reminder, the information and opinions on this podcast are meant for education and inspiration only and are not to be taken as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with a trusted practitioner before making any changes. Have a beautiful day, friend, and I'll see you in the next episode.